Hi ladies. I'm going to do a special little live today on some issues that my clients and some of the women in this group have been experiencing, and I'm going to kind of break it all down for you. So you've heard me talking about thyroid briefly. So today we're going to talk more in depth about thyroid and just how it can affect your fertility. So we have a paradigm in the US, in the Western world, in Western allopathic medicine, that there is a specific window for thyroid health. And what I mean by window is when we look at your blood work and they test your TSH, which is usually what they test. They usually test your TSH and your T3 and your T4. So when you're looking at those numbers, usually they want your TSH to be, below 4, like between, I don't know what they say, like between 2 and 4 MUL is what they're saying is normal, or even more than that. But once you hit 4 is usually when the physician will be like, okay, we need to put you on thyroid medication, okay? What the problem is with this is that from a functional medicine standpoint, which is a newer field of medicine that's burgeoning, that's looking at scientific studies to determine how to treat people from a natural standpoint using supplementation, lifestyle, and nutrition. And a lot of my work is influenced and inspired by that. And I apprenticed with someone who practices that way. So what's problematic about that? There's a few different things. So first of all, if your thyroid is not optimized, okay, and optimization is a different window from a thyroid, from a functional medicine standpoint. If your thyroid isn't optimized, so many things can go wrong trying to get pregnant. You may not have hypothyroid. You may not have, a 4.0 MUL or higher TSH level in your blood. You might have 2.0. You might even have 1.8 or even a little bit lower than that, okay? But there's a couple different problems with this. So number one, you could have thyroid problems that are falling outside of the normal range, like we just said, and your doctor doesn't treat you for it because from their perspective, you kind of fall into this black hole of a dead zone of treatment options for that place of being in terms of your blood levels. So what that means is that your doctor says you're fine, but you're actually not fine. And this information is, it's becoming more and more prevalent in, holistic health communities because of how serious this is across the board for people who are trying to get pregnant and people who are, women, especially women who are experiencing health issues. So you're in this black hole where nobody's going to give you medication. Nobody's going to tell you how to take care of yourself or help what's happening. However, you're not getting pregnant. So thyroid can cause so many issues trying to conceive. Thyroid can cause you to not ovulate. It can cause you to have long periods. It can cause you to miscarry. It's very, very common. Miscarriage is super duper a red flag for thyroid. So you fall into this dead zone, this black hole, and nobody's telling you what to do, and you don't even know that there's something wrong. So a lot of women are like, well, I don't know, my doctor didn't say this. I really, really want to encourage you to not put all your eggs in the doctor basket. And I say this from a place of love and support and just like wanting to empower you. Physicians don't have all the answers. And we need to start advocating for ourselves and finding the answers on our own because we're not going to get them there. Some of our answers will come from there. There are some women that go on to have, make families with IVF and it works for them. But there are women, many of you in here, who have been trying for years. You don't know what's wrong with you. Nobody's telling you, yet you're still trying to get IVF done. And listen, if you have thyroid issues and they're not being treated, IVF will not work for you. Even if your other levels seem good, IVF probably won't work for you. So it's important that we address the underlying issues. So going back to this whole idea about the thyroid. So here's the other part of this. I'm just going to give you some facts. 1 in 8 women will develop a thyroid disorder thyroid disease during her lifetime. It's a lot. It's a lot of women. And 15 million women 15 million more women have a thyroid problem and don't know it. I'm going to go ahead and venture to say a lot of you will fall into that category. So women are often gaslit by physicians. They say, hey, I don't feel right. I don't feel good. My energy level's really down. Something's off. I'm not losing weight. I'm gaining weight. And the doctor is like, oh, it's probably all in your head. There's nothing wrong with you. That's called medical gaslighting. If you don't know what that is, look it up, educate yourself. It's a thing, and it happens to women, and it happens to women of color even worse. And it's something that I'm an activist because I stand for women, and I want to make sure that you're investigating and sticking up for yourself in these processes, and that you're not allowing people to tell you something about your body that's just not true. So the number one reason why there are so many thyroid disorders, especially something called Hashimoto's that we're going to talk about in a minute, it's because of environmental toxins. Why are so many more women having problems getting pregnant than ever before? Because we live in an industrialized country. We are constantly surrounded by toxins and chemicals, and it's unavoidable. So there's a lot of ways that we can go about supporting this, and I have so much success with it in my practice, but I'm going to go back. I'm going to rewind. So first of all, what are signs of hypothyroidism? So again, you're not losing weight. You're gaining weight. You're on XYZ, nutritional plan. You're doing the keto. You're doing this. You're doing that. You're not losing the weight. That is a very good indicator that your thyroid is giving you a challenge right now. And your doctor is going to overlook it unless you come back with a lab that says you have a 4.0 TSH or higher, okay? You can try and talk to your doctors about this. They don't learn this in school, so they're not going to really listen to you because they use their medicine. They don't use functional medicine. So here are some of the other symptoms. Fatigue, feeling really tired and exhausted all the time. High cholesterol is one of the other things. Depression, anxiety, constipation, slow moving bowels, feeling cold all the time or colder than most people around you, having cold fingers and toes, maybe even blue nails, Raynaud's, which is a form of like cold hands, brain fog, like poor memory, poor concentration. There are women who are misdiagnosed for depression. As many as 15% of women on antidepressants have an undetected thyroid problem. Is that you? It possibly is. So let's go on. So again, we talked about the effects that it has on miscarriage, preterm birth. It also can affect women and have increase their risk of a prenatal or postpartum depression. Low libido is another one. Okay, sleep problems, fatigue, the whole nine, right? And you could say that it's also because of your fertility journey, but which came first, the chicken or the egg? Like, we don't know, right? So here is another layer. There is an autoimmune version of thyroid, hypothyroidism, that is very undetected and unseen by Western medicine practitioners, and it's called Hashimoto's. Have you heard of it? Hashimoto's is in 97% of the women who have hypothyroid, it's actually Hashimoto's. So what does that mean? Hashimoto's is a very specific type of autoimmune hypothyroidism that creates autoimmune response in your body, heightened immune response in your body, which makes your body fight off things like pregnancy. And the thing about hypothyroidism is that Hashimoto's, and we're going to get back to labs now, is that your labs, and thank you for sticking with me this long if you're still watching. So your labs, okay, your lab work, things that you want to test for are thyroid antibodies. So thyroid antibodies would be thyroid peroxidase antibody and thyroglobulin antibody. If you have activity and you have like anything over 0, it's safe to say that even if your TSH is normal, even within functional medicine range normal, like under 2.0, 0.9 to 2.0, you still could have Hashimoto's brewing and not know it. And what exacerbates it is stress, the food we eat, lifestyle, and environmental toxins. So this is very confusing. This is very overwhelming for women because it is an invisible enemy. This is an invisible enemy to your fertility. And no one's talking about it. I mean, some people are talking about it, but your doctor isn't talking about it. And he or she are the people that you're depending on to guide you through this process, and they don't know about this. Meanwhile, they're taking money. They're taking $20,000 for you to go through IVF. But if you don't have this solved, it's going to be hard. It's going to be very hard for your IVF to work because your thyroid levels shoot up while you're pregnant, and your TSH levels will shoot up. And thyroid is huge during early pregnancy. It's everything. It needs to be optimized. And they'll check it. If you get pregnant, they'll check your TSH, they'll check and make sure, and they might put you on thyroid medication if you're pregnant. Sometimes that actually happens. Women who don't have thyroid problems and then they get IVF, the doctors look and say, oh, your thyroid's crazy. It's like, yeah, because this person had underdiagnosed thyroid challenges. So let's move on to something else here. So yeah, thyroid problems can prevent you from ovulating. So you could get one of the only ways to really diagnose Hashimoto's is through an ultrasound. They would do an ultrasound on your actual thyroid gland, which is like right here behind your throat. So one thing I want to talk to you about is the women that I spoke to. So interestingly enough, underactive thyroid or hypothyroidism can cause hyperprolactin. I'm just going to say hyprolactin. Hyperprolactinemia. Okay. So when you're pregnant and when you're a new mama, your prolactin goes up, which encourages you to lactate and produce milk. So you want high prolactin, and that's why when you're postpartum, there's if you're breastfeeding, it's almost like a natural inhibitant for pregnancy, because if your prolactin level is high, then it will suppress, I believe, luteinizing hormone. I believe. So there's a woman in the group who's been lactating. and she has a normal prolactin level, and she's not getting pregnant. And she really believes it has something to do with her lactating. I agree. So when she first told me about it, I was like, oh, I did some research, and I was like, yeah, low thyroid is related to high prolactin. So she said, got my prolactin read. Doctor said it was fine. So she has 19.6 ng/ml. And by the standard of Western medicine, they say normal is 4.8 to 23.3. So she's on the high end of normal. She's on the high end of normal, and she is actually not in an optimal level. So it's ideally less than 14 ng/ml. Okay, that is the optimum ideal level. So she is borderline on there. Now, another interesting thing is that she sent me her TSH level. And again, you have to look at the antibodies. You have to look at some other things. They test for T3 and T4 too, because it gives you a bigger picture. T3 and T4 are different, the inactive and active form of thyroid hormone in the body. So, again, if someone just sends me a TSH, I may or may not be able to tell them that thyroid is a player in this. Because again, TSH could look normal, but you could have thyroid antibodies, or you can have everything look normal and you have all the symptoms. And unless you got an ultrasound, you wouldn't see anything happening yet. And you would want to test later on to see how they're doing. By the way, doctors will not get you a test for thyroid antibodies. There's a place that I recommend my clients to get their thyroid antibodies tested. But again, it's not completely conclusive. That's why it's important to, if you are, I'm going to finish this about this client in a second, but about this member of the group in a second, but it's important that if you are, especially in your late 30s, early 40s, which is when thyroid starts to activate with women, I've noticed, because we've been, working our asses off for however many years. We've been exposed to environmental toxins longer. Thyroid changes in your late 30s to early 40s naturally, and you are having trouble getting pregnant, there's a good chance if you have unexplained fertility challenges, there's a good chance you've got thyroid stuff going on. So anyway, her TSH was 2.79. That is not optimal. That is very high, actually, from a functional medicine standpoint. So I'm going to go ahead and say this woman probably has, I'm not a doctor, I can't diagnose her, I can't diagnose you. Thank you for sharing your numbers with me, but I really think you need some thyroid optimization. And what does that look like? That looks like bioidentical thyroid hormone that is made in a compounding pharmacy. It's hard to find. That would also mean lifestyle and nutrition, specific lifestyle and nutrition approaches. I have another woman who I'm working with right now who sent me her thyroid labs, and I told her, so it's interesting from a Chinese medicine standpoint, you can have from the symptomological standpoint, something called kidney yang deficiency. And oftentimes the women who check off these marks for kidney yang deficiency, which are basically thyroid, hypothyroid symptoms, which is funny because these came out way before, this whole paradigm came out before thyroidism was even found, because Chinese medicine is very ancient. I call them thyroid red flags. If you have kidney yang deficiency, there's a really good chance you've got thyroid problems going on. And I've seen it clinically over and over and over again. So she came in and she's like, I'm like, do you have thyroid problems? She's been having, challenges. A miscarriage, so sad, and having trouble for a long time conceiving. And I was like, you've got some thyroid red flags on your questionnaire here. And go ahead and get your blood work done through a place that I send my clients to get it online, which is very cheap. It comes to your home, send it away. So she sent me her information, and her thyroid is 2.23, so it's over 2.0, which is starting to edge on suboptimum. And she's got thyroid antibody activity, and a fair amount of it. So we're going to get her on my thyroid protocol. And I'm really excited because this stuff works. I had women that I've treated, one with undiagnosed thyroid, one with diagnosed thyroid, one medicated, one not medicated. Both of them had multiple miscarriages. Both of them had long struggles, failed IVFs, and we got them on my thyroid protocol. We, got the lifestyle stuff going on. We got all the right foods. We took out all the right foods. Both of them are pregnant in their second and third trimester right now. And they're my age. They're in their late 30s, early 40s. This stuff works. And I teach it in my course that's coming up. You will have all these tools. You and I will figure out what's going on with you, if you need the support, and then I'm going to give you the exact tools to completely transform your fertility. If this is the case, it's completely transformable. So that was my super long live today to help you guys understand thyroid and why it's everything and why you need someone who knows what they're doing to work with you on this, or else you will keep bouncing back and forth like a pinball machine, trying to figure out what's going on with you. I'm here. I can help you. So I would love to help you. Shoot me a DM. Let me know if you want my help, if you want to talk. I'm happy to talk to you on the phone, over Zoom. I usually talk to women on Zoom. I would love to invite you to completely transform your fertility, because your body is capable, and it's so easy for us to stop believing in ourselves because a doctor tells us our body can't do it. And I'm here to say that that's not the end diagnosis for you. It's not. And I want you to stop believing that, because it's also not true. I hope you all have a beautiful day, and leave a comment below or hit me up on DM.